Good morning again. I'm Mrs. Lambert, for those of you who don't know me, and I would like to welcome everyone, and I would especially like to recognize and welcome the parents, family, and friends of our honorees. We are happy that all of you are here to share in this occasion, this celebration of our top scholars at Kinkaid. When I came to interview at Kinkaid 23 years ago, I remember sitting in Mrs. Wiley's English class and being awed by her students. From that moment, I knew I wanted to teach students as smart and creative and thoughtful as I had seen on my first visit. And today, I am lucky enough to do so. I am lucky enough to come to school every day and to learn from my students. And this morning, we have the opportunity to honor a particularly stellar group of students. These 28 students have demonstrated exceptional academic performance, and we are honoring them today by inducting them into the Kinkaid chapter of Cum Laude. Cum Laude was created to recognize scholarship at the high school level as Phi Beta Kappa does at the college level. Our motto is embodied in 3 Greek words: arete, dike, and time. The word arete means excellence and virtue. The word dike means justice, but it also includes the concept of what is suitable and appropriate, as well as what is just. Time means honor and encompasses the idea of dignity and true worth. Our national organization permits induction of up to 20% of a school's graduating class into its Cum Laude chapter. So it is that we have gathered here this morning to honor the best of the best. In doing so, we are all reaffirming our commitment to academic excellence. In just a minute, I will invite our headmaster, Dr. Martiri, to the podium to make a few remarks and to introduce our guest speaker. While I will leave most of the introduction to Dr. Martiri, I wanted to share my own excitement for the selection of our speaker. Years ago, I was lucky enough to teach Meg in my freshman English class. Even then, I knew what a gifted writer she was. So I am thrilled she has continued to pursue her passion and, better yet, to share it with others. Dr. Martiri will shortly tell you more about just how lucky we are to have Meg with us. Dr. Martiri.
Thank you, Mrs. Lambert. Good morning. Thank you very much. And again, welcome, parents, grandparents, and guests. I want to invite everyone, both students on stage and faculty and staff and guests, to please join me in the responsive reading that is found in your program. Is not wisdom calling and knowledge raising her voice? Choose instruction rather than silver, and knowledge rather than gold.
How much better is it to take wisdom than gold? Those who bring understanding shall find good.
That the soul may be without knowledge is not good.
They are wise who lay up knowledge.
They who seek wisdom are strong, and knowledge increases their strength.
The Spirit of the Lord is with those men and women who seek wisdom and understanding. The Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge, the fear of the Lord.
Thank you. I will share just a few brief remarks before introducing our guest speaker. The students on stage to my left this morning have achieved at the highest level academically, with excellence of character. They have worked incredibly hard for years. When someone performs well in the arts, athletics, or academics, we should not simply say they're talented. or they're gifted, which may be true, but also they have worked very hard to maximize their talents. As the passage advises us, these exemplary students have sought instruction, realizing that they do not have all the answers. They have worked with those who know more, who have seen more, who can help them on their journey to excellence. These seniors also know the wisdom of realizing success and knowledge is not just about themselves, but about something bigger: class, school, community, country, world. Our hope, and quite frankly, our expectation, is that these students on stage before us will continue to achieve at a high level in college and beyond, with both character and class in the years and decades to come. Please join me in congratulating them for their outstanding academic careers at Kinkaid. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our distinguished guest speaker, Meg Marinas-Vernon, from the Kinkaid class of 2002. Mrs. Vernon is currently a co-executive producer for the hit ABC series, Grey's Anatomy. She has been with the show for the past 11 seasons, serving as a writer, producer, and medical researcher. As a producer and researcher, she worked closely with the show's physician consultants and outside healthcare advocates to assist with ensuring that each script maintained medical accuracy. Additionally, Mrs. Vernon attended medical conferences and public health briefings on behalf of the show. She is a Phi Beta Kappa graduate of the University of Texas at Austin Plan II honors program with a dual degree in radio, television, film. While at Kinkaid, Mrs. Vernon was a Mensa as a sophomore and junior, and president of the Honor Council as a senior. She was on the yearbook staff all 4 years, then co-editor-in-chief her senior year. Mrs. Vernon was on the field hockey team. She was captain of the lacrosse team. She took creative writing. She took AP classes and was a member of both SOC and the Spanish Club. And perhaps most importantly for this morning, she has 6 nieces and nephews presently at Kinkaid, and will have 7 nieces and nephews at Kinkaid next year. Welcome, nieces and nephews and family members. Please join me in welcoming back to Kinkaid, Meg Marinas-Vernon.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Dr. Martieri, and thank you so much to the faculty and to all the students for having me. It's an honor to be back here at school, and it's an honor to have the pleasure of speaking at today's ceremony. When Mr. Vishak contacted me about speaking, I asked him about the previous cum laude speakers and what they had spoken about to the students. He mentioned Uchi Michi and his work in science education. He also included Sam Waldman and his career with SpaceX. And then he also told me about Warren Hoffman, who does something with robots, which sounded extremely smart and cool. I know nothing about any of those things. I make stuff up, and then people watch it on TV, hopefully. Like Dr. Martieri said, I'm a writer, and I currently write for a TV show called Grey's Anatomy. Anyone watch it? Maybe you've binge watched it through Netflix or iTunes, because it's on its 13th season, and which means it began when y'all were about 3 or 4. So I hope you started it on something like Netflix. Maybe you've never seen a single episode and you have no idea what I'm talking about. But we recently just got picked up by ABC for a 14th season, so some people think we're pretty good. I started working for the show about 2 weeks after I graduated from college in 2006. And about a week before Mr. Vishak emailed me about speaking here today, I was fortunate enough to be bumped up to the title of co-executive producer. Now, co-executive producer is a fancy way to describe a senior writer-producer in television. But I don't care. I'll take it. It's a fancy title I've been chasing for almost 20 years since I wanted to do this. People People often ask me, when did you know you wanted to become a writer? I didn't. It's just always been who I am. Growing up, I filled so many composition books with stories, essays, poems. I even wrote an episode of my favorite TV show, ER, when I was 12. Y'all probably have no idea what that show is. It was a medical show written by John Wells that was on NBC for 15 years. I wrote a 45-page episode, and it was complete fan fiction and terrible at the same time. In high school, I took grading every year with Mr. Mayo, belonged to the yearbook staff, and completed an interim term in independent study with Mrs. Lambert, where I just wrote. If something happened in my life, I wrote about it. Whether it was about something that broke my heart or something that made me laugh so hard I cried, I wrote it down. I literally have an entire journal filled with quotes from conversations with my best friend Casey over 15 years of being together at Kinkaid. I have a desk drawer at my parents' house filled with scraps of paper with writing on it, if they haven't thrown it away. I wrote on the computer, in notebooks, I wrote on Post-its, I wrote on my hand, I wrote inside my head. I wrote all the time, and it was annoying. But I never felt like writing was something I had to do. It was just something I did. It came easy to me, unlike AP Calculus and AP Physics. And there was only one other thing I loved as much as writing: television. And one interim term here, I took a screenwriting class that was taught by the late A.J. Carruthers. He was a famous playwright and television writer who worked closely with Walt Disney, and he was also a Kinkaid alum. He showed us classic television shows as well as broke them down for us and how they were put together. It was my first exposure to real successful scripts of stories that had actually been filmed. After that class, I was sold. I didn't just want my words read. I wanted them seen, ideally on a screen every week. I wanted to be a TV writer. Sorry, Mom and Dad. When it was time for college, I got into Yale, but I didn't go. Sorry, Mom and Dad again. I chose the University of Texas at Austin instead. They had, and still have, an extremely strong communications school where I could study radio, television, film, as well as get involved in the growing Austin TV and film community. Along with a degree in radio, TV, film, I also completed a degree in Plan 2 Honors, which was an intense liberal arts curriculum that centered heavily on writing. Even Plan 2 math tests were essay questions. I wanted to study TV, but I also wanted to improve my skills as a writer overall, which meant I had to be writing. Even if it was about math or physics, which Plan 2 still did not let me get away from, surprisingly. By the time my senior year at UT arrived, I had interned for the magazine Texas Monthly and the Austin Film Festival, but neither seemed to satisfy me enough. I realized if I really wanted to pursue this TV writing thing, I had to make the jump. I had to move to Los Angeles. I had to become a Californian. And so I did. By now I had finished all my Plan 2 classes, so I enrolled in a special program called UTLA, which literally stands for University of Texas in Los Angeles. My mom and I drove my car out to Burbank, California, where I moved into an apartment complex that was overrun with Disney child actors and college students. And so with about 30 other UT students, I spent my last semester of college in LA working every day while I finished my RTF classes at night. And here's where I would love to tell you that I moved to LA, submitted writing samples, got discovered, and immediately landed as a job as a TV writer. Speech over. Nope, sorry. My first job in LA was an internship at NBC Universal, where I worked for the VP of production. I was on the top floor of the executive building where potential movie scripts were read and deals were made. And I thought, of course I belong up here. I aced my interview, I had amazing grades, I was becoming a decent writer. They'll meet me and they'll see it. I was close to where I wanted to be. And so on my very first day, I wore my best LA outfit, put on heels, and showed up. They put me in charge of one thing, and his name was Hume. I wish I could say that Hume was a movie project. I wish I could say Hume was the boss's kid, or even the boss's dog. Hume was a tetrahyphan whitefish, and he was about the length of my thumb. He lived in the boss's expensive aquarium in his office. My boss really liked him. He was a gift from a famous actor who I will not name, and he was my responsibility. I was to feed him, check on him, clean his aquarium. I was told to treat Hume like he was my own. This was my job. 2 weeks in, Hume betrayed me. Hume died. And I couldn't believe it. I failed. And for a second, as I dreaded the boss finding out the news, I considered getting back into my car and getting on I-10 and not stopping until I was back in Houston. But then I thought, that's a really long drive. So rather than doing that, I decided to figure it out and show them I was not failure material. So I went and got a red plastic solo cup from the Universal Kitchen, and I fished the lifeless Hume out of the tank with a sample of the aquarium water. I drove Hume straight to Petco, and I marched into the aquatics department, and I demanded a fish autopsy. I wanted to know why Hume had died, so I didn't kill the next one. And I learned, Petco doesn't do that. But what they did do is test the water that was in the cup, and they figured out there was a problem with the tank's pH and oxygen levels or something. I don't know. Basically, Hume was poisoned by the water. But I learned the solution to the problem and explained it to my boss as I presented him with Hume 2, and I wasn't fired. Hume 2 was still swimming 6 months later when I left Universal to graduate and then take my first assistant position over at Gray's. Gray's was nearing the end of its second season when I interviewed. I had actually landed the interview through a Kinkaid alum and my friend, Catherine Campbell, who had been in the class above me and played the very back of the defensive line of the lacrosse team with me. We knew each other well. She told me that the writer's office was looking for an assistant, one who had little experience, was interested in TV, had a positive attitude, and wasn't expecting a huge salary. I got the job, and I never wore heels again. My first job at Gray's is what we in the business call a PA. It stands for production assistant, and PAs exist in almost every department of every commercial, movie, and TV show. PAs are at the very bottom of the food chain, the very bottom. The bugs in the wall have more authority than you do as a PA. You're the first one in the office and the first one to get yelled at. You're also the last one in the office and the last one to get yelled at. I've never worked so hard at anything my entire life. And I graduated from Kinkaid, cum laude, and then from UT, Phi Beta Kappa. I'd written a thesis, which was a screenplay adaptation of a 448-page Gabriel Garcia Marquez book. I was smart, and I had studied my entire life. I thought I knew hard work, and I thought I had done it, and getting to LA was my reward in having a job at Gray's Anatomy. But after about 2 weeks into the job, I realized I had just been knocked back to the starting line. So I had two options. One, stay, work as hard as I could, and hopefully one day, my name would be after the words written by. Or two, quit and go back home to Texas. I decided to stay. And so my career in television began. And it began with 16-hour days where I was in charge of taking care of 12 writers. And when I say I took care of them, I got them breakfast, lunch, snacks. I went to Starbucks 6 times a day, minimum. I ran their errands. I quit the gym for them. I took their laptops to the Genius Bar after they had thrown them at the wall in frustration. I kept them company on set while their episodes were filming. I drove them around in golf carts, and I even pretended I was an animal sidekick once for a kid's birthday party. At the same time, I answered phones, made copies, and hand-delivered scripts to executives, directors, and cast members. I never stopped, I never sat down, I never saw my boyfriend or family, but I never complained. And soon I was recognized for that. They promoted me to the writer's assistant position, where I actually got to join the writers in the writer's room and participate in story meetings. My job was to take notes while we were in the room discussing the episodes, which was about 10 hours a day. So I typed as fast as I could, and then I studied. Before work and after work, I would study Gray's scripts, learn why things changed or didn't change, and then I would write my own scenes. At lunch, I would look up interesting medical cases and bring them to writers. It was exhausting. But again, I never stopped. But again, I was recognized for it. They saw that I was quick on my feet, was creative, and had ability to memorize medical terms faster than anyone else. So I was moved up to Director of Medical Research, where I received my first episode to write. I finally got that written by credit, and I was hooked. My words were finally on screen, and a few years later, they made me a staff writer, then a story editor, an executive story editor, a producer, and now a co-executive producer. I've now written 11 episodes for Grey's, and I kind of feel like I could walk into the MCATs and apply to medical school. Every day I sit in the writer's room with 12 extremely talented and caffeinated writers, pitch ideas, and then write those ideas into 55-page scripts that will be shot into a 43-minute show. As well as writing episodes, I also produce several episodes a season, which means I attend pre-production meetings that range from discussions on casting to medical props, as well as sit on set while the cameras roll. Then at the end of the process, I weigh in on editing notes before the final product gets delivered to the network. I have a great relationship with Shonda Rhimes, who I've seen rise to be the queen of television and an amazing mentor. And for those fans out there, yes, I know the actors. And yes, I have a favorite. It's Chandra Wilson, who plays Dr. Bailey. Actors are real people, so just like us, they have their good days and bad days, depending on what time they start their day and how many cups of coffee they drink. I still work 16-hour days and never see my family or boyfriend, who became my husband. But I will tell you one thing. Someone gets me coffee now. The other thing I'll tell you is, it wasn't easy. I spent the first half of my life working extremely hard to make my way to the top in school, only to be pushed back to the bottom as soon as I graduated, which was unexpected and terrifying. But I did make my way back up again, and I did it with something that all of you are being taught right now. By being a student at this school, you were learning a work ethic that not many people in this world have. And it may be difficult to see right this second because it's Monday morning, and you're probably exhausted from the weekend, and this lady just keeps talking at you. It's also hard to appreciate because two of your teachers might have decided to schedule tests on the same day. You have an AP English paper due tomorrow, and you have a game this afternoon and rehearsal until 8. You're right, it's hard. This school is hard. But because it is hard, it is prepping you for your future, whether it's college, an advanced degree, a job, anything. You will already be ahead of the game because you went here and you were pushed. You are being pushed to work harder and rise to the occasion. And you will. So congratulations to the students on stage for earning cum laude, and congratulations to the students sitting in the audience. You're on the road to succeeding because you're here at Kinkaid. Find what you love, even if it's not just one thing. Work hard for it, and do it with kindness towards others. Because you never know. The person who used to get you coffee may one day be your boss. Thank you.
Thank you, Meg, very much for those inspiring words, and I hope all of you carry them with you, and when you face your own Hume, you overcome that as well and gracefully as it appears Meg has. I would now like to introduce and celebrate our 2017 inductees finally. Tiffany Balade Ajumabi. Sabrina Badua. Whitney Burke. Christina Choi. Ashley Deitzer. Margaret Durning. Thomas Airley. Caitlin Feldman. Sarah Fullenwider. Anna Glickman. John Goetti. Jennifer Jacoby. Vivian Liu. Will the second row of inductees please stand? Brock Lozier. Louise McCartney. Cody Meng. Kaylee Mings. Zubair Muki. Rebecca Noel. Benjamin Payton. Rahul Popet. Sam Ritchie. Sophia Soleil. Maddie Wallace. Jason Yang. Christine Yang. Unfortunately, 2 of our members were unable to be with us today, but their parents are here this morning, and we would like to recognize these 2 students as well, Michaela Bryn Anderson and Robert Laude. You may be seated. Before I read the charge to our new members, I would like to continue our tradition of inviting anyone in our audience, including family and friends, who is a member of Phi Beta Kappa or Cum Laude, to stand and be recognized at this time. Now, will our new members please stand? Record you have made at Kinkaid has earned for you membership in the Cum Laude Society. This society is a fellowship of scholars whose purpose it is to recognize academic excellence. As you pursue your education, it is our hope that you will accept this honor of membership in this prestigious organization as a responsibility to make some contribution to man's ongoing search for greater understanding of himself and of society. In testimony of your admission to the Cum Laude Society and with the authority of our chapter, I now confer full membership on each of you. Congratulations. Finish today with the closing reading in your program, words by Helen Keller. Knowledge is happiness, because to have knowledge, broad and deep knowledge, is to know true ends from false and lofty things from low. To know the thoughts and deeds that have marked man's progress is to feel the great heartthrobs of humanity through the centuries. And if one does not feel in these pulsations a heavenward striving, one must indeed be deaf to the humanities of life, harmonies of life. A reminder or 2 before your dismissal, Cum Laude members, if you will please remain on stage so that we may take a group picture. We look forward to seeing our honorees and their parents and family members at this evening's dinner, where we will conclude our celebration. Assembly is dismissed. Thank you.